David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. As some of you may know who pay attention to these kind of things, in the Chinese zodiac calendar, it is the Year of the Dragon. And I have a Year of the Dragon themed pen to share with you from Montegrappa. It is called the Imperial Year of the Dragon. What I am going to do today is go over the parts and features of this luxury offering, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Also, during these size comparisons, I will give you a sneak peek at something very special coming up here on this channel. Stay tuned to see what that might be. Thanks go out to the good folks at Kenro Industries, who are the U.S. distributors for Montegrappa, as well as several other brands, for providing this pen on loan for review. And also for allowing me to ink it up for that writing sample. There are times, especially for higher priced luxury pens, where inking it up isn't possible. Over this past year, there have been a number of Year of the Dragon releases in the fountain pen world, some of which I've reviewed on this channel. It seems like there are more Year of pens this year than usual, but I think that has something to do with this being the Year of the Dragon, which most folks consider to be the best of the animal-themed years. Some animals don't necessarily lend themselves to an intriguing pen. The rat, the pig, the goat. Now, personally, I was born in the Year of the Goat, but a lot of the time it's referred to as the Year of the Sheep or even the Ram. I think that's basically a translation thing. Nothing against goats, but I would prefer to think I was born in the Year of the Ram. While I don't personally put any weight to the zodiac signs and astrology, I do have some close family ties to China, and I'm very familiar with many things in relation to Chinese culture. Over the years, I've taken 3 trips to China. Here I am at the Great Wall. If you are interested, I documented my last trip there in a travel vlog. I'll put a link to the 2 parts in the notes below if you're interested in checking out some non-fountain pen content about my travels. On a side note, which does relate to fountain pens, I have my right hand over my pocket because I was carrying a TWSBI Diamond 580 and the cap somehow unscrewed and ink proceeded to leak all over my pocket. Now, it rinsed out with no problems once I got back to the hotel, but it was a bit of a fountain pen incident. There was a specific reason why I had a TWSBI on me, but if you care to learn the reason, you'll need to watch the vlogs. Okay, how about we take a look at a pen? And this is a very nice one. As I mentioned before, it is the Montegrappa Imperial Year of the Dragon. It arrives in this fairly large wooden box. It has a nice plaque up top that says Year of the Dragon. Inside there are a few things. There is a polishing cloth. There's a nice custom manual. I always like it when a use and care guide is customized for a limited edition offering, as opposed to just having a generic one that's included in all pens from a company. The manual also talks about another Year of the Dragon offering from Montegrappa. This one is called the Regal Year of the Dragon. This one is made from material called Juma. A few years ago, I reviewed a pen made from this material. You can see here by the rods that the material has a very scaly look to it, very unique. Pens in this Regal series retail for around $1,200. There is also here a bottle of Montegrappa black ink, which I thought was interesting. When I picked up this bottle, it was wrapped up completely in plastic, and there was a bit of leakage inside the packaging, just a small amount. That can happen from time to time. You always hear folks like me saying that you shouldn't eyedropper most pens, which contain metal parts of certain materials. The ink here reacted with the metal cap to the bottle. Those blue swaths won't come off, and it's very hard to see, but literally right on his large circular left nostril, the ink reacted with the metal and corroded it a bit. Again, nothing major, and things like that happen, but it was interesting to see a bit of the corrosion we always warn you about in action. And then, most importantly, let me set this aside, we have the pen. This is the Montegrappa Imperial Year of the Dragon. The cap and barrel are made from sterling silver. While this pen is rather hefty, it comes in at over 70 grams. I don't find it to be cumbersome. I like the weight. It feels substantive. The distinguishing feature of this pen is the intricate engravings on the cap and barrel. Montegrappa describes this as a full-body tattoo engraving. It depicts a dragon who has absolute power over all of the elements: fire, wood, water, earth, and metal, each of which is represented by the imperial dragon's 5 claws. This is a high-quality engraving. It's created with a technique called multi-axle etching, which rotates the pen as the engraving takes place. The material is then brushed to a satin finish, which really smooths out any rough edges. There's a lot going on in this artwork, but to me it doesn't feel over the top or too much. It's a design where I continually find myself discovering things. Like, it took me a while to notice this lotus flower. And I'm not certain what these circle indentations are meant to represent on these waves, but they are intentional and they're located in a number of different areas on the pen. Okay, let's take a look at the parts and features of this pen. The top of the cap is flat, and it is adorned with the Montegrappa logo. This transitions into the clip. The clip is emblazoned with a AAA rated ruby. AAA denotes a very high quality stone, basically the top 10% in regard to quality. This ruby is meant to symbolize a drop of the dragon's blood. While the clip is rather stiff, I do find the ball mechanism on the end helps it interact with thinner materials. Thicker materials are a bit tougher to maneuver. The cap angles up rather steeply and then straightens out right at the very end. At the end of the cap, there is a rather wide band. There you will find the company name between 2 wavy bands. On the backside, it is engraved with Made in Italy, as well as the hallmark there on the left. It is star 2670VI. I enjoy breaking down hallmarks and what their meaning is. The star means that it was a hallmark issued after 1968. 2670 is the number assigned to Aquilas, the owners of Montegrappa. And then VI refers to Vicenza, which is the city in the Veneto region where Bassano del Grappa is located, home to Montegrappa. There is a rounded, medium-sized step down from the cap to the barrel. The barrel immediately begins tapering down at a relatively shallow angle until you get to the end, where you will find a band signifying the beginning of the piston knob. Then on the back of that knob, you will find the number of this specific pen. This is a limited edition of 333 units. The reason for this number is because 3, 3, and 3 add up to 9, which in Chinese culture is a symbol of longevity and good fortune. The cap twists off with just under 2 rotations, and underneath we have a custom number 6 18-karat gold nib. On the nib, it is again engraved with the company logo, as well as the head of a dragon. Would I prefer this to be stamped rather than engraved? Sure, but this engraving probably gives the designers a bit more flexibility in regard to the small details of the artwork. Sometimes small details like that can get a bit lost in stamping. This nib is available in either extra fine, fine, or a stub. And here's a look at the low-profile ebonite feed. The section of this pen is resin. I feel that's a good idea for this pen, as opposed to having it be sterling silver like the rest of the pen. There's little swaths of silver highlights in this resin to help it match a bit more. While this is a brand new pen, I did notice the threads here were a bit tarnished already. To the best of what I could determine with my loupe, those are silver, and something like that should just polish right off. Actually, I do like the small breakup of color. It gives it a bit of an aged and ancient look. This pen does have some heft to it, but I like the weight. It's very well balanced. The center of balance is a bit forward on this pen, so you feel the weight more around this area than toward the back of the pen. While the cap does kind of fit on the back, I wouldn't post this pen in fear of the metal-on-metal contact producing scratches or marks on the barrel. Previously, I mentioned the piston knob. You could safely deduce that this is indeed a piston filler. I've always liked the mechanism Montegrappa uses. It has a bit of ratcheting sound, like that. Maybe get it closer to the mic, and you can hear that. And the knob always stays in place when you open it. It doesn't separate from the barrel as as a lot of piston fillers do. The Montegrappa Imperial Year of the Dragon is available from a number of authorized dealers. As mentioned up top, this is a luxury offering, and it can be found for about $3,500. In the realm of high-end luxury offerings, that's not too bad for what you receive with this pen. It's nice that it's all sterling silver, except for the section, and I feel the theme artwork and engraving are done very well and executed on this very nicely on this themed offering. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. So here we have some size comparisons for the Montegrappa Imperial Year of the Dragon. Again, wanted to give you a closer look at some of this design. I like the red pop on the clip as well. It's very intricate, but I feel it flows nicely and it looks nice. So in regard to comparisons to a couple of other Montegrappas, we have the Montegrappa. And then here is an Elmo Chrysiocolla. And then this is a Mia Adriatic Sea. Then here it is with a Visconti Homo sapiens and a Lamy 2000. And then I mentioned up top, you were going to get a sneak peek of something special, and that would be a sneak peek at my latest project. You will find more about it in the next few days, but it is also a pen from Montegrappa and is called the Aurora Borealis. This is based on Montegrappa's Venetia model, and it is a resin that's made from Tim Crow. There will be lots of additional information that I give about this, but one little special thing is this green part actually glows in the dark. But I just wanted to give you a little sneak peek, and all the trim is ruthenium. It even has a ruthenium nib on it. But lots more to come about that in the very near future, but I at least wanted to give you a little sneak peek in order to show you what that looks like. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, this is what it looks like with the Homo sapiens and the Montegrappa. And then finally, just to show it again, the Aurora Borealis. So here we have the writing sample for the Montegrappa. This is the Imperial Year of the Dragon. This is a fine 18 karat gold nib, and I will say it is on the thicker side of fine. It really feels more like a medium. And the ink that I'm using is the ink that was included with this pen, which is Montegrappa Black. This is what the ink looks like. It's a very nice, deep, saturated black, which for the most part is what I'm looking for with a black. I want it to be very saturated and dark. This is what it looks like with one of my other favorite blacks, which is the Sailor Kiwaguru. And then here it is with my very first bottle of ink that I purchased, which is Parker Quink. And then this is what the bottle looks like that comes with the pen. And then as you can see on there again, there is the little dragon. There we go. There's a good look at the dragon. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. Okay, and as you can see, I just ran out of ink. A little behind the scenes, sometimes with these expensive pens, I don't fully ink them up, but I am allowed to dip them. So let me go ahead and dip it a little bit more so that we can finish the writing sample. There, the lazy dog. As I mentioned, this 18 karat gold nib is very smooth. And it does lay down a decent amount of ink. You can get a little bit of flexibility out of there, but the ink flow on it is decent. And like I mentioned, it almost feels more like a medium nib. In regard to reverse writing, I'd say it's adequate. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up just fine. So there we have the Montegrappa Imperial Year of the Dragon. For a luxury pen that has an interesting theme, I think it's fairly well executed. So if you are into this imagery as well as into the Chinese zodiac and dragons and things like that, and looking for a pen in this price range, that this is certainly something to consider. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.